Record. Hello, and welcome to the University of Winnipeg Master in Management program. This is Design Thinking Training by Elm Cloud for the winter 2025 class. So I call myself an ever-evolving innovator because I'm a continuous learner. I work with different academic institutions like Medford College Polytech, University of Manitoba, University of Winnipeg, and of course, COMIT is one I work with, which is a social organization that does training. I do lots of things with different academic institutions, primarily around innovation and artificial intelligence. So I'm also a startup advisor. I work with kind of somewhere between 5 and 10 startups at any one time as an advisor. I also do a lot of training in design thinking and learning and design thinking as well. I'm also a generative AI trainer and specialist, and I'm a member of the Manitoba Association of AI Professionals. So the goals for today is to give you some background on design thinking, first of all, to provide information on design thinking for context for you. And the second is to go through a totally fictitious case study based super fast design thinking training course. So don't blink because it's a fast way to teach. So let's dig into innovating using design thinking. So the innovation sweet spot is what we call the intersection between desirability, which is do people want it, customers want it, feasibility, which is can we do it, do we have the technology to build something, and viability, should we do it, is there a business case for it or a business model that will support it. So in design thinking, we go through the human lens, which is why it's called human-centered design. So here are the stages of design thinking. So it looks like in a linear process, it's drawn that way, but it's not a linear process. It's very iterative. So any one of these 5 stages, empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test, you can circle back, go to another one of the different phases, and do whatever you need to do in order to complete the work. You can go all the way back up to empathy if you think you've missed something, and you can iterate as much as you need to. So you start with a wicked problem. That's really important. And you start here, even though I said it's iterative, you have to kind of start in the problem space because the problem space is it's all about not falling in love with the solution, but falling in love with the problem because the problem is what people will pay to fix. Your solution may be something that's in your head and nobody else's. So the first thing you do is you take the problem that someone's given you and you go and you understand it. And that's the empathy phase. And what you do is you research the problem, understand it deeply. You look into, you use Google searches, you use generative AI, you use whatever you need to do. And then, of course, you go and meet with customers, talk to customers, watch them, observe them, and really amass a lot of information. And that's the empathy stage. Next stage, you take all this rich information you've gotten from the empathy stage and you bring it together. And what you're trying to do is come up with a problem for a customer or a type of customer that you can solve. So again, you've amassed all this information. That's what this line here indicates. You've gathered a bunch of information, and now you're trying to focus it down to a problem for a customer. So once you get to a problem for a customer and you refine this, and what you do is you reframe this original problem in that context of that customer and that problem. And then what you do is you create ideas for that problem. You create as many ideas as you can. The more ideas, the better. And then what you do is, as a team, you agree. You can cluster the ideas together and come up with. So instead of if you have 3 ideas in an area, you could put them together and make a bigger idea. But the bottom line is you agree on what's the best idea, and then you prototype that, test it with customers, and then of course you iterate because it's not going to be right, and you iterate until you get it right, done right. So that's design thinking. That's how it works. It's a structured, creative problem-solving process that supports innovation. Okay, so this is called the Bank of America Keep the Change program, and it's just a really good example of a classic, true design thinking story. So in 2004, the Bank of America hired design agency IDEO to boost their enrollment numbers. They asked the question, how might we encourage new customers to open bank accounts? So what they did was they began working in the empathy stage with customers, and they put together a group to work with customers. They found out that one woman rounded up in her checkbook for easier calculations and to create a buffer. They found out the single mother struggled with savings, they had nothing to put aside, and that even a small amount saved is good, provided a financial buffer to manage financial security. Then the problem was reframed as how might we help families save money? So if you link these together, how might we encourage new customers to open bank accounts? By helping families save money. Think of it that way when you reframe. So they put together a diverse team of product managers, finance experts, software engineers, different people like that, had 20 brainstorming sessions, came up with 80 different product concepts, but one favorite idea called the Keep the Change program. And the idea behind the Keep the Change program is you have a debit card that is linked to a savings account. When you use your debit card, whatever the amount is rounded up from a dollar to the nearest dollar, that rounding amount is put into your savings account. So at the end of the year, you use your your debit card hundreds of times in a year, you'll have several, hundreds of dollars in your account. That's the objective of the thing. So they used a cartoon video to prototype it and got a very good response with 1,600 participants. So the program quickly took off. The first year attracted 2 million customers, and it's since grown to over 12 million who have saved a total of $2 billion. 3 in 5 new Bank of America customers choose to enroll in the program, then 99% program retention. And this idea has been copied many times. You've probably seen it in social programs where they have a keep the change program. So, they say your amount came to 1232. Would you donate the change to charity? Things like that. It's a great idea. So it's been copied a lot. So now let's talk about our case study. So our case study, let's talk about the problem space, which is empathize and define. So our case study is with Humane Canada, which is a real organization, which is the overarching humane society for Canada that all of the different humane societies across Canada kind of report up into. And so they asked the question, how might we reduce the number of pets being turned into shelters? So in the first stage, we empathize to understand what customers care about, to identify the real customer problem to solve, and to remove your assumptions, whoever you are, and uncover customer needs and problem we're solving. So how do you empathize? The first thing is to observe, engage, watch, listen with your customer, and do secondary research. Learn the broader context and perspectives, understand the stakeholders and the systems that are involved, learn about recent innovations and challenges in the subject area, and get facts and figures you need to understand the context. So how? Well, you can brainstorm who you can talk to, who are the customers, are there other stakeholders, understand their motivations, needs, and problems, and the knowledge and constraints of the business. And for this case, we interviewed a bunch of different kinds of pet owners, including young pet people buying pets, people who've had multiple pets. We interviewed veterinarians and Humane Canada staff. And then we decide how to gather the info. There's a bunch of tools we can use. We can do interviews and we can use journey maps and empathy maps, personas. Insight walls are when you stick a whole bunch of ideas on the walls and you can look at it as, step back and look at the whole thing. And Google searches, of course. And we did interviewed insights. We did a journey map. We did secondary research about the pet industry, and we redefined the problem to solve based on these results. So here's the secondary research. We did a Google search and we found out that the number of dogs and cats is increasing in Canada every year, but the number of veterinarians is actually decreasing. We found out that there's these 5 veterinary colleges across Canada with very competent staff that we could talk to. We found out that we went from 56 to 60% of Canadian households with at least one pet, so another increase. And we found out that 94% of pet owners consider the pet a family member. So we know that people love their pets, but we also know that there seems to be some stress in the system. We studied the landscape of the industry. We found out that Canadian animal shelters are facing a perfect storm, and more pets are being surrendered to shelters, which is a really bad thing. We found that there's a veterinary shortage in Canada, which is a real crisis because what's happened is since COVID, veterinarians have been retiring at an earlier age, and there are less people going into veterinary colleges. So you've got this perfect storm. And then, of course, we looked at social media analysis and found that There was not a lot of good information here in the pet area. People were not giving good advice to people. So we are Humane Canada. We call ourselves Humane Canada, and that's because it's our vision to build a humane country. And they have these 7 keystones about looking after animals in Canada. So the top 10 reasons pets are brought into shelters: housing issues, and that's usually housing change. Excuse me, financial constraints, lack of personal circumstances like job change or something like that, health change, lack of time. That's really not being prepared, not understanding that animals need care. Unwanted litters, not getting pets spayed and neutered. Behavioral issues, which is usually caused by something else, like a bored animal not being treated properly. Health issues, lack of support resources, educational gaps, and responsibility is too much for the person. So these are the top 10 issues we're facing. But these issues can mostly be avoided or mitigated by preparing, educating, guidance, and support for the new pet owners. So what we did was got the perspective of target customers. We did interviews. We looked at either creating an empathy map, we did a journey map, and we used the personas. So if you're interviewing, you want to do a plan, figure out who's going to do the interviews, what roles are they going to play, what question areas are going to use. Excuse me. When you're executing, you want to listen more than you talk, ask open-ended questions, use the 5 whys technique, which is like a child. When you ask a question, somebody answers you, you respond with another question, why again, until you get to the bottom line. Set up your roles before your interview so you know what you're going to do, and dump your notes into this tool. So here's a very simple tool. You could go as far as an empathy map, but this tool is about 80% of an empathy map anyway. So we asked pet owners questions, influences. We asked them who were their influences, what tasks and goals are they trying to perform, what do they think and feel, and what are their pains they're trying to avoid. Influencers, social media and the internet, but they don't know what to trust, and the veterinarian, but they have very limited access to veterinarian because the vets are busy. So what are they trying to do? They're trying not to go broke due to expensive pet care. Pet care is very, very expensive. And many people don't understand that they're so used to Canadian human health care, which is supported by taxpayers, whereas with pet care, you're paying it yourself. People said, I want to be a knowledgeable and responsible pet owner. They don't want to understand their pet's medical condition, what meds to take and what ailments. They want to provide a great life for a new pet, and they want to provide a great quality of life for an aging dog. So what did people think and feel? Here's kind of what we got out of what we talked to them. We got these feelings out of it. We knew that they regretted some pet owners regretted making mistakes in the early days with their pet, which led to problems. Second time pet owners said they'd like to do a better job this time. Someone said there has to be a better, more modern way for pet care. They found it a struggle to use veterinary services. One person said we love our vet, but they're a small team with limited resources. This is because of the limits in the healthcare, the veterinary care system right now. And first-time pet owners were feeling overwhelmed and anxious about getting their pet. And then pain points. A couple of people said their dog's older. It's very hard to get good medical care. People said it's very hard to get good information and make decisions. There's a lack of veterinary specialists for complex or rare issues, illnesses, and new pet owners said, where can we get guidance? Then we talked to veterinarians, and we found out their influences are the Canadian Veterinary Association and the Canadian Veterinary Colleges that are across Canada. What are they trying to do? They're trying to run a successful veterinary practice during a challenging time of low resources and keep up with the responsibilities of running a small business and being a medical profession, which is a pretty big job. What did they think and feel? They'd love to have more tech-enabled practice. They really would like that to be more efficient. They wish that pet owners would listen to them about preventative pet health. They said that they thought that many new pet owners don't really understand what they're getting into, so too many pets end up in shelters. And they thought it's really tough. We have a small team with limited resources. And their pains, a lack of time for customers, There's a veterinary shortage, so they're competing for employees. They're struggling with that. And many customers struggle to pay their vet bills, and so the veterinarians have challenges with that as well. So what we did was we mapped out the stages of the pet's life from pre-pet uh, to when they get the pet to a puppy that's 6 months, adolescent, which is 6 to 18 months, adulthood, which is 18 months to 7 years old, and then senior is over 7 years old. And what we recorded was customer goals, actions, thoughts, feelings, and pain points. And what we found out is that there are significant pain points all along the journey with a little bit better time in the adolescent to adulthood phase, although quite often there were some serious issues that were caused back here that end up making these not as good as they should have been. But the biggest issues were a lack of information and lack of support and really struggling to make the right decisions in the early days because the wrong decisions in the early days end up haunting you later on, costing you a lot of money, frankly. So what we did was we broke down the jobs to be done as a part of the journey. We talked to veterinarians, we talked to experienced pet owners, and we came up with these different elements of the journey. Research, pick a pet. So this is before you get your pet, research, pick a pet, then find a vet, prepare your home, bring your pet home, initial vet appointment, create a support team, train and socialize in healthy habits. This is really the first 6 months of the pet being with you. So, and then the idea is if you do this, you'll end up with a socialized, anxiety-free, happy, well-behaved, healthy, exercised, a healthy diet, well-trained, routine vet support team, and vet approval. All of these elements are key to have achieved by the time you're at this stage. Okay. This usually does not go perfect. Very, very seldom does it go very well. And a lot of it is because people don't have the knowledge they need to nail all of these pieces in the right order. But if you do this right and you end up here, you're very much more likely to have a really good um, pet experience. So then we built a persona, and this is for a new pet owner because we quickly realized that the new pet owners struggle the most, and especially younger new pet owners were really keen to learn more and to be knowledgeable pet owners and really want to do a good job. So why not help them, right? If they're part of the problem. So this is our pet owner is Sylvia, who's an extreme user, 28-year-old single social marketing consultant getting a puppy in a month. She is a tech and innovation enthusiast, and she's excited but anxious about getting her first pet. And she's getting a puppy in about a month, I said. Her goals are to have a happy and healthy pet, to be a knowledgeable and responsible pet owner, and develop healthy habits with her pet and have great experiences together. Great goals. Pain points. She's concerned about successfully integrating her pet into her life. She's quite busy. She's anxious about the new responsibility. Knows she has a lot to learn, but where to go for guidance and support. She knows there's a lack of digital services in veterinary healthcare, and she's concerned about the pet health cost of pet healthcare. So that's our persona. And so now we're in the defined stage. So the defined stage is about taking all that information that pulled together, and now we want to understand more about the problem so we know where to focus. And we want to focus on that human and business parts of the problem and deeply understand the customer's unmet needs. So typically what we do is we capture the insights that we've learned, put them up on what we call insights wall on sticky notes, and then we cluster them together so that we can kind of understand the big picture. So if there's a bunch of things about veterinarian issues, we put those together, a bunch of things about medical costs, we put those together, etc. And then what we do is once we get all that done and our team gets together, looks at all this and talks about it, then we write a new problem statement from the insights. So let's do that. So here's our insights that we found. We found this from talking to Humane Canada, from talking to veterinarians, talking to customers, and of course, from our internet research. Okay, so then what happens is we synthesize this and we take, for example, our journey map together with this kind of information that we pulled together on what a perfect journey would look like. And then we cluster themes. So we pull these themes together. right? So data, information, and access, um, new pet owners, vet care, and digital services. And we pull these together, and on a whiteboard, we talk to our team talks together, and we vote, and we reframe the problem statement. And what we figured out is that new pet owners like Sylvia need a way to get effective guidance and support because she wants to provide the best quality of life for her new pet. And so the original challenge was how might we reduce the number of pets being turned into shelters? And the new problem statement is how might we prepare, guide, and support and experienced pet owners so they can live their best life with their pets? Let's do the test. How might we reduce the number of pets being turned into shelters? By preparing, guiding, and supporting inexperienced pet owners so they can live their best life with their pets. Because if they're living their best life with their pets, they're not turning them into shelters. So there, it works. So now we've reframed our problem statement, and now we're in the solution space. We're ready to start coming up with ideas. So now here's our new problem statement. Here's our old problem statement. Here's our new problem statement, and we're good to go. So next step is ideating. We're moving from learning about the problems to creating and exploring solutions. Now we're going to think beyond what has ever been done before, build on ideas of others, remove constraints that we think that are there. We're going to brainstorm ways to solve the unmet needs of customers. We're going to do it fast and don't focus on quality or feasibility. Talk about our ideas, clarify them, and evaluate them. So here's a bunch of different ways to ideate. You can have innovation games. This one we call Crazy Eights, and we'll show you a version of that we have later. Group ideation is, in this case, what we're doing is group mind map. We get together and work on a group mind map together. Brainstorming is, everybody's heard of brainstorming, and we'll have a little video on that soon. And then finally, once you're ready and you've got your idea that you think you're going to go ahead with, you do what's called concept creation and you define the concept. So here's what mind mapping looks like, right? So you put your problem statement in the middle. How might we prepare, guide, and support experienced pet owners so they can live their best life with their pets? And then you come up with a bunch of topic areas. And I included one here for lateral thinking, which just means it's not a logical topic area you might have. It's something, some kind of out of the box thinking, out of the box word. So let's do a mind map together to come up with the ideas for supporting owners on their journey. Okay, so no. So what we got to do here is pause this, bring up this app. Okay, so here we are. So now we've got our app up. And so what we do is we come up with a whole bunch of different categories. So here we go. The business model, community, e-store, wellness information. Mirror is our lateral thinking word. Insurance, journey guides. So these are all ideas that we came up with, or these are categories. So now what we do is we go around and we blow these out, right? So here you've got business model, corporate sponsors, ad-supported individual donations, keep the change program, freemium model, all sorts of different ideas on business model. Community, you'd have like Uber, like volunteer delivery and driving to help people so that take the stress off them. Adopt and foster program, lost and found, contests and games. And you get the idea. What you do is you come around now here, and for each of these, you brainstorm different ideas that you have. And so here we are. We've got our ideas brainstormed. And so now when you look at this together, you can look at this and you can say, okay, so let's look at this and come up with ideas now that cross categories. So here's our lateral thinking area. We talked about mirror, and it's a reflection tool. How are you doing as a pet owner? Where do you need to improve? Score versus other pet owners, things like that. Having an e-store could help by helping people possibly by getting cheaper goods and services for their pet. Having support, like helping new pet owners find trusted providers like dog walkers or or pet house sitting services that would actually watch their house and their pet together, things like that. And then also a nurse practitioner potentially could come to someone's house to look at their pet if they can't get their pet in. Training, a YouTube Academy, local training hubs, etc. And then what you can do is you can actually combine things like something in the store with something from a convenience perspective. So here you've got e-store, you've got Uber-like volunteer drug delivery. Well, maybe that we're getting an e-store here as well, combined with the Uber drug delivery. And so you see, you can come up with all these kinds of different ideas. And that is mind mapping. It's a great tool. Okay, back here again. Okay, so now when I look at group brainstorming, you've got student roles, facilitator, brainstorming, clustering, deciding what the prototype, and if you have a mentor would be to guide and support. But the rules of brainstorming are, first of all, to defer judgment, encourage well ideas, build on the ideas of others, stay focused on the topic. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to not have people say, well, that's a bad idea, or well, that would never work. We'll figure that out later. Come up with the ideas. And in fact, if someone has a wild idea, build off that wild idea. And that's the way you come up with the best ideas. Stay focused on the topic. So there's a facilitator doing this, right? Keeping this on the guardrails. Have one conversation at a time, because quite often what will happen is people are more or less um, outspoken, and people who are kind of introverted won't speak up, so they have to be given the chance to speak up. I also recommend that you start the exercise, the brainstorming exercise, by giving people a minute or two to come up with ideas quietly on their own, by the way. Be visual, use post-it notes, use colored markers, kind of it helps with the creative process, and go for quantity. So one thing for sure is that one of the rules of brainstorming is to have good ideas, you have to have lots of ideas. That is a simple rule of brainstorming. So you want lots of ideas. Also, what'll happen is when you're brainstorming, quite often you'll find that you're running out of, you feel like you're running out of steam, running out of ideas. That's often when the best ideas kick in, because what that means is you exhausted all the easy ideas. Now you want to go for the hard ideas for the next stage. So here is IDEO talking about brainstorming.
All right, team. Thanks for coming for a brainstorm today. We have a really interesting topic. The local zoo, the visitors are down 20%. So how might we boost the number of visitors to the zoo? This is a serious problem for them. They want to stay open. They need more funding, all this kind of good stuff. So let's spend a few moments now first and get a few ideas down. Remember, we're going for quantity. Let's see how many ideas we can get. And also, there's so many good ideas out there. Let's push ourselves, try to get closer to the ridiculous. That might be brilliant. All right, so I'll start us off. I had date night. So, and you might hang out with the animals that are in action, if you know what I mean. All right, what else? What else you got? Oh yeah, Albert, what do you got?
What if we do a dress up like your favorite animal day? So it's like a costume themed thing.
Very cool.
What about zoo pop-up at places that kids frequent, the mall, school, parks?
Home Depot, I know, has programs for little kids to build, like, you know, birdhouses and stuff like that. So it could be all these different crafts, but they're sort of animal lessons, so
Love
kids
it,
learn.
love
And
it. I have a night camping, so you get to camp overnight there. So let's get a 5 or 10 more.
So I figure loyalty cards work for airlines and for burritos, so why not have it work for the zoo?
Building off the whole celebrity thing, what if like we pretend that animals are celebrities and we give out like a gossip magazine as an advertisement?
So for an hour every day, they vacate the cages, and you get to go swing on the bars and everything that the monkeys have. So, do turn playground.
That's awesome.
What we'll do next is we'll look at these and look for some themes and cluster a couple. And then I think we should even prototype 1 or 2 of these and then take them over to the zoo.
All right, so here we go again. So then we did our group brainstorm, and what we found was we came up with a lot of really good ideas. So we came up with ideas like to keep the change account for saving for insurance premiums, a customized preventive and wellness training and tracking app, a push for telehealth health button, nudge first-time pet owners to consider adopt and foster programs, an AI chatbot that could be helpful, pushing vets for more flexible payment options, partner with college game dev build program to build an app for like a Tamagotchi type of critter, like which is the little critters that electronic critters you try to keep alive, and have people try those before they get a pet. Partner with charitable organizations that provide angel care, specialized marketing campaigns about being prepared for a pet, and then a bunch of other different things as well. So we had lots of things, including our things about our business model, lots of good ideas. So then what we did was we took these ideas and we clustered them into groups. So we have guidance, finance, business model, digital services, community, gaming, and how to. And so what we have now is you end up with these different areas in guidance, specialized marketing campaign, really being prepared for a pet, an AI chatbot to support that, nudge first-time pet owners to consider adoption and foster programs, partner with regional veterinary colleges for trusted information to help people, for finances, P2P, peer-to-peer health services, saving money for pet health care, encourage vets for more flexible payment options, keep the change account for insurance premiums, partnering with charitable organizations to provide angel care for people who can't afford the health care for their pets, and then some kind of an e-store to share advertising and purchasing discount with pet owners via a rewards program. And of course, business model, things like corporate sponsors, advertising revenue, etc. So we have these four kind of areas. Oh, by the way, we also saw educational videos. We thought that would be a terrific thing to do too. So we have the four areas. Right. So we developed this concept card. The idea is prep, guidance, and support for inexperienced pet owners. And the idea is to keep pets out of shelters. New pet owners are anxious and concerned about making this 10 to 20-year life decision, but the tech-savvy ones are looking for digital solutions to the problem of successfully integrating a pet into their life and having trusted information to make many decisions they'll face. We believe a chatbot may also appeal to later stage pet owners based on our research. So we have stakeholders, new pet owners, other pet owners, community veterinarians, and veterinary colleges. And so how does it work? We'll use science-based health and wellness data from applying AI to a real pet health data, research information from Canada's 5 regional veterinary colleges to train an AI chatbot specializing in advice and guidance for new pet owners. And business model, advertising, corporate support, and donations, we think. So here's a prototype. We're going to see if it works with minimal effort and cost, build to think and generate new ideas, be able to explain complex interactions and learn how others respond to our ideas. But we want to get started with a solution and get real feedback. So here we go. And you can use paper prototypes like sketches or new journey maps or prototypes or wireframes, storyboards. You can create a product description feature sheet or a marketing campaign or a skit or anything that explains the problem. So here we go. So this is we created a campaign, marketing campaign called our Think Twice campaign. So here's our visual of 3 sad chihuahuas in a cage looking disheveled and forlorn, a heartbreaking reminder of what can happen when pet ownership isn't taken seriously. And here you've got, Humane Canada and Canadian Veterinary Association together. Okay, so tagline is bone up on pet ownership before you take the leap. Is an information campaign by us, the Canadian Veterinary Association, and Canada's 5 regional veterinary colleges, providing us with a lot of information. So headline, think twice, love for life. Are you ready for the commitment? And talking about bringing a pet into your life is a long-term commitment. It requires preparation, understanding, and a whole lot of love. Unfortunately, too many pets like these chihuahuas are abandoned because their owners were not fully prepared. Before you take the leap, we urge you to bone up in pet ownership, understand the time, effort, and resources you need to give your future pet give your pet a happy life. So key points, pet ownership is a commitment. Pets can live for many years and they depend on you. Cost and care, vet bills, food, grooming, etc. Make sure you're prepared. time and energy, they need daily attention, etc. Do you have the time to learn about the specific needs of the breeds or species you're interested in? And knowledge is key. So our call to action is to visit Dr. Pause, which is our AI chatbot, to get the guidance and support you need, how to prepare and make those mini decisions, and then a little bit about Humane Canada, etc. And that's it. And so here's our chatbot. So if you go to our chatbot, Dr. Pause, um, is there. So here's a question you can ask. And so what it does is this is a chatbot we've created that specializes in small dogs. This is part of our pilot. We're only looking at small dogs here, but we would enhance it for the bigger picture. So first question is, and we prepare some typical questions that people ask. So what should I budget for getting a new small dog? And it goes through and shows you all your costs, monthly expenses, annual expenses, and your total initial budget for the first year alone, expect to spend somewhere between $1,500 and $5,000, with a monthly budget after that between $50 to $150, excluding emergencies or insurance deductibles. And it talks about things like consider pet insurance and things like that. And so you can say, should, or you could say, what's the business case for pet insurance? And it says it's strong, especially for those who want to avoid unexpected, potentially large expenses. So you mitigate unexpected costs, manage predictable costs over time, financial planning and peace of mind, and cost versus coverage analysis. And then it gives you additional benefits for specific dog types. Small and pure breed dogs, these breeds often have specific health risks, making them more likely to benefit, and same as aging pets. So it's an added monthly cost and it's an investment, and this is something that makes a lot of sense. So what are the health risks for Chorkies? And a Chorkie is a Chihuahua Yorkie mix. They're generally hardy, but they have dental issues. They're prone to dental disease. They have very small teeth, very hard to brush, and they have crowded mouths, leading to plaque buildup, etc. And it can cause big issues with dental surgery, etc. Hypoglycemia, they can experience drops in blood sugar. Patellar luxation is a serious issue where they dislocate their knee, serious issue, and usually required surgery. And it's a real problem. And so you really want to be careful how much you let them jump and turn at the same time. So you want to be a little bit careful how you treat them. Collapsed trachea can happen by using a dog collar versus a harness, heart disease. And so you go through here and you really understand what the issues are. And what that would allow you to do is maybe save thousands of dollars. So you can see a wealth of information with Dr. Plus. Okay. So now we're testing. We test and see what they think about the idea and flesh out the details. And we're going to get good feedback, and we're going to looking for quotes too. So first of all, they love the new AI chatbot. I'll be a customer for sure. It did a great job of answering all my questions. For example, I was surprised by the amount of detail I got when I asked about budgeting for a puppy. What they don't like, and this person didn't find anything they weren't happy with. They thought it was a good idea. And one person though asked, "Are you working on any functions that will help reduce the cost of veterinary bills?" And we are, so we have a couple ideas there. And finally, for ideas, how about if your online store had loyalty rewards? And that's something we thought about, and we may look at further. And so we can test this by saying for new pet owners, they get their support, info, and guidance that they want. And for vets, they'll get more knowledgeable customers, which means better customers. Our AI chatbot we can leverage ChatGPT 4.0, and the proof of technology is complete. The plan is for corporate sponsorship, ad revenue, and individual donations for paying for the bill. And that's it. Thank you very much. And I will talk to you very soon. I hope you enjoyed the training.